What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to be making a Viktor Draven guide. It's something that has been asked of me for quite a while now, so I thought it'd be time to deliver. I'm recording this intro after recording the actual guide, and I forgot to mention one thing, so I'm going to go ahead and drop that note for you guys right now. With Viktor, a lot of the times you do not want to attack in almost ever until it's his time for his big swing, right? Viktor is extremely valuable and one of your main win conditions in the deck, so even if you think you can trade down a board, generally it's not worth it because you make him more susceptible to removal. If you guys watch me play the deck and watch games, generally you will notice I will just keep Viktor in the back line. Shout out to Nick Makes Plays. I was watching him play on his stream, and he was playing against somebody else piloting my deck, and they made the mistake of just swinging in with Viktor before he had like effective keywords such as overwhelm, elusive, or something of that nature, like quick attack, which makes him safe. And Nick was able to just clear his Viktor and the guy was toast. And it's like, you don't do that, and it's a note that I definitely wanted to add in the video. So make sure you guys take care of Viktor. He is very strong if you use him the right way, so just keep him in the backline. He's a backline champ until he's not. With that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and jump into the guide portion of the video. Appreciate you guys as always, and I'll catch you guys in the next. Alright, what is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. I was getting asked this a good amount. The Draven Viktor list that I used to hit Masters this season and also hit rank 1 this season. I have made a few videos on the deck in the past, but never really more of like a formal guide. So this is going to be that. I'm going to go through and talk a little bit more about specifics, ways to play it, and cover some of the more basic principles, I guess, when you're playing this type of deck. So this deck is in a lot of ways a burn deck, so I'll cover some of like the important principles that you use when you're playing a burn deck, right? So one of that would be that when you have so much burn in a deck, normally you just need maybe 5 to 10 damage. It depends on the game, obviously, and how much they're letting you get through and how you draw and whatever else. And it's up to you to kind of like, there's always exceptions to the rule, obviously, but what you're trying to do is just chip in as much little damage as you can and then finish them with burn. Is the basic idea of most burn decks. So whenever you see an opportunity to get guaranteed damage, that's normally pretty important depending on the matchup. If it's a matchup with healing, this kind of goes out the window because you can never really reliably count on your burn to get them there. You kind of need to go for big swings that you can outvalue their heal, right? So the big cards in this deck, right, is Ballistic Bot and Viktor. Augment is a very strong keyword, and you can scale these units very big with the Ballistic Bot ignitions, which also deals damage, Viktor rolling keywords, which makes him quite a threat, as well as just scaling his attack as much as possible. So these are the units you kind of value. Some misplays that people might be prone to making is like overvaluing something like Draven. Draven, literally, we just need axes. He's kind of more of an auxiliary piece in this kind of deck, so we don't mind trading him, using him as a blocker. He used to be a fantastic blocker with a 3-3 body, but 3-2, you play him, you get the axe on effect, and that's almost enough for him. And he enables things like Fallen Rider and Lost Soul. And if you guys weren't aware, when you do discard these and the transform to, like, for example, the Risen Rider or the Twin Blade Revenant, those do count as created cards. So one, they will buff your augment units when they're played and count towards Viktor level up, as well as being discounted once Viktor is leveled up. So you can play these units for pretty cheap. Even like the 8 mana Lost Soul will drop to 7 mana, which can make it pretty flexible because you can play 7 mana Lost Soul, for example, into a 3 mana Revenant into late game if you're on top decks and Viktor's on the board. Then we have two kind of big punch out closers, which is Ambush and Might. Depending on the matchup, if you know they have elusive blockers and things of that nature, you might want to go for an Ambush earlier on when you can just chip in, because it does give +2 attack. Let's say you have a Ballistic Bot that's at 3-3, which is normally, I would say, pretty early to commit something like this. You can use it then, get value. Very powerful interaction, especially in the late game. If you know they don't have a ton of answers to it, you can go for like a big swing. We also run 2 copies of Survival Skill. So this is like a card that, depending on the type of removal and interaction that the deck you're playing against has, will determine if it's kind of useless, you just use it early, get a value trade, and toss it away, or if you're holding it and waiting for that big opportunity with Viktor or Ballistic Bot to get a big swing of damage. Or you could also use it on Revenant and Fallen Rider, because they do have pretty solid bodies with 4-3 Fearsome, especially too if they do have elusive blockers. You could use that to still get an attack in for full damage, because most elusive units don't have that high of attack. And then Station Archivist. So this is a card I would say a lot of people will get baited to play earlier than they should. I feel like this is more of a late game card. One, it's very good. You always want to hold it if you have Draven or Ballistic Bot once again, because you could use it to search for a might or an ambush in your deck if you don't have it in hand. And it does count as a created card again, so leveled Viktor will discount the card that you do pull, and it does count for augment, so you get a bonus buff in that way. You could also use it to search burn. The biggest thing with Archivist, and one of the reasons why I think it's such a good card, it shows you what cards you're going to draw. It does not shuffle after you choose a card. It does not show you the spells in order. That is a very important distinction. You will not draw in that order, but you know in the next 5 cards that you're going to draw, these are the spells that are there. So you can plan ahead accordingly, and that's super valuable information. You know exactly like what you're looking for in the turns coming ahead, and like how much damage you're going to need to pull before that point, because when you play a burn deck, you're also on a bit of a clock, because you will run out of steam, you will run out of gas, and you need to close out the game sooner rather than later. Viktor in some ways can prolong that effect by rolling some very spicy keywords, of course, but it's just not reliable to go late in the game with other decks. Those are some of the main core principles, right? If we're talking matchup specific, it's all like depending. So for example, against something like Lurk, you just want to trade down and just replenish your board with things like Poros and Zonite, trade down their units, and eventually when you go for that big swing with Viktor or Ballistic Bot, their only interaction to stop it would be something like Pike, right? Which you can beat with survival skills. So if you have the option to, you can hold that survival skills and you kind of beat the only thing they have. The other card is Bone Skewer if they do run it. A lot of Lurk decks aren't running Bone Skewer right now, so that isn't as much of a problem. But the same thing is this damage-based removal. So you can, the big thing is when you want to hold that survival skills. Another thing with burn decks, right, is Decimate here. Decimate is the only burn we have that is at slow speed. So you do want to try to get this Decimate earlier in the game, because normally the way a burn deck functions, right, you hold all the burn in your hand. Depends on the matchup. Sometimes you want to use this for removal against other aggro decks, but more often than not, you don't really care about what's happening on the other side of the board as far as their units. You trade down with your units, but you hold the burn, and you use your slow speed burn maybe on your attacking turn, right? So that way when they go for a big swing, you use all of your fast speed burn on the stack, and you can kind of like, let's say you'll have full mana, right? So it's like turn 7, they go for an open attack that would kill you, and you have 10 mana to play with, and then you could just put that all on the stack and get them from like 10 to 0. And a lot of times you can catch a lot of people off guard with that, because they'll think they can take more damage than they realistically can, because they don't know that 50% of your hand is burn. So you want to try to make sure you confirm your decimates, and kind of like if they're going for like a slower turn and maybe passing, just try to find a good time to drop your decimates is very important. And holding this, again, the fast speed burn, you hold it until they're pretty much presenting lethal, or you have a guaranteed lethal in some way. Boom Baboon just gives you a challenger. It can be it's obviously a one of, so more niche scenarios. Very good with Draven. You play Boom Baboon into Draven and you can just drag a unit and confirm for 6 damage, which, like I established, is sometimes all you'll really need. Poros, you don't want to play early generally. It depends, because if you're guaranteeing damage, that is good, but if you have a hand with augment, the Poros scale your units very big, so you'd want to wait to have these units on the board so they can see you play them and buff their stats. If it's a matchup where you know they have like maybe a lot more of answers to answer Viktor and Ballistic Bot, like if they're playing mini morph, like a deck with like Darkness, for example, where they have mini morph, stress defense, and everything under the sun to realistically stop your big swings, you won't need to do this as much. You just want to chip in as much damage as possible with the Poros. But rule of thumb, I would say, is wait till an augment unit is on the board until you play them, and you can buff them up and go for some very strong attacks that way. Outside of that, that's kind of like the main core principles that we have in the deck. Just don't overvalue Draven, try to confirm damage whenever you can, and know when it's a matchup that you're gonna win by going for a big swing. The biggest thing with a deck like this is planning ahead and establishing the way you're gonna win each matchup and kind of just going from there. It's like sometimes you just need to trade down units, kind of go prolong the game, and then you have a little bit more of out value in aggro matchups, just because most aggro decks don't have a way to swing like 15 damage in one turn, one swing, but we definitely do have that with the augment units and might and ambush. And yeah, that's kind of like the most important things. So you guys have any specific questions? Oh, I actually did think of something actually extremely important and extremely valuable information. So with most of my decks, I do run a lot of spells, and this is a mistake I see so many people make when playing some of my decks. When you run a deck with so many spells, I almost never want to keep the spells. Even if Mystic Shot or something is good in a hand, right, you'll mulligan away your other stuff and you will end up with a hand that's like Mystic, Get Excited, Might, or something of that nature. And obviously you can't really do much with that. I generally just try to keep units. You will draw your spells. You will draw your spells. You have ways to search your spells with Archivist. You have like different value tools. So even if a spell is generally considered good, you rather just draw into it, because so often if you don't have units, you're fried. You're fried and you can't really work with an empty board for so long, right? And that will happen. I'm telling you guys, if you keep spells and you're greedy with it, you will get punished, and that is absolutely crucial. Another thing too, as far as the mulligan, if you have something like a Fallen Rider, right, even if you have some other good pieces, if you know that they can't really respond to a Fallen Rider on 2 and they don't run fearsome blockers or removal for 2 damage, you might want to toss away your hand and look for Poro Cannon and Zonite, because it's such a strong interaction that the payoff is going to be worth it. And establishing if like these early things are confirmable, like if Fallen Rider is like really good in the matchup, can determine the way you're going to mulligan your hand. Another thing with the mulligan is, once again, it's like if you do need Viktor or Ballistic, potentially just kind of searching through for that might be something you have to do. In matchups without, so there's always exceptions to the rule. I'm always going to say that because I'm going to say something a little bit contradictory. So in certain matchups where you know they don't have heal, for example, some type of control deck like maybe Shellfolk, for example. And Shellfolk's not the best example because they can't prank your burn, which isn't good, but the old example would be something like Draven Ezreal. They have so many different ways to interact and remove your units that burn is actually better, really. So you could hold something like a Decimate because it's 4 guaranteed damage, and it's like the inverse of a lot of what I was saying. So establishing if it's a matchup like that where keeping some burn spells could be good, because that's the way you're going to win more often than getting attacks through, and using these units to just block and prolong the game until you can confirm your burn is a very important aspect. If you guys have any questions about the deck or specific interactions or anything like that, drop it in the comments. I'll be more than happy to field questions and help you guys out. I have some games for you guys today as well, where I always do, but you know, I'm talking through my plays, talking through my way of thinking, and you guys can kind of see what I'm talking about in action now that like I'm covering it more specifically, and you'll see like how that's incorporated into the games. Hopefully you guys enjoy this video. I'm trying to do a little bit more deck guide type of content and teach you guys, and it really does help myself as well, especially like the video we did with Zolt, where a deck that I generally wouldn't play, you could get a lot of knowledge from people that pilot it a long time. So appreciate you guys. If you guys haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Thanks as always, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. Someone's messing around with some dragons. Dragon Leona, though. Leona's actually a little more scary. We'll just keep this because it does synergize and we know we can get the Poros out. We just got the same cards back. You kind of hate when that happens. At least this discards and we'll have like a inevitability of like getting value off of this once the Lost Soul dies. This thing blocking Zoe isn't bad too. We'll take 3. I don't mind. If he wants to trade, he actually does. That's cool. I have the Mystic. I could use it to, control the board a little bit. I don't think I do. I think I just like block with the Poro and would develop Revenant next round. I do want to hold my resources back somewhat. This is his Leona turn. This is obviously obnoxious, and there she is. She's about to be leveled too. So our developments are going to be weird from this point. Okay, Baboon into Urchin seems pretty good. We can go fairly wide right now. You did it, man. You got your man. That seems like the most low impact concerted strike I've ever seen, but whatever, dude. Zonite that then instead. Punish transgressions. Let's can block here. Sunward. I do like just playing another fearsome unit. We'll see. I mean, he probably does have blockers for this, but overall, pretty good. That's kind of weird to me. Makes me want to develop more. That's just my inner greed taking over. I think I should just swing. If he goes for some single combat or concerted strike, well, single combat we could beat 2. Yeah, I think I'll just might this, right? See how he reacts to it. Either I push just 2 more damage and kill Leona, which is fine, or he goes for some hard removal, which I could punish. Interesting. So Hush makes it not go back in my hand, which I don't love. So I'm just gonna keep this alive, because I do want Revenant back in my hand if it does die. Now is a single combat. That's funny. So he's killing it. Very strange. There's a ballistic bot. Love to see it. Devotion to battle. This can push its 2 damage, sure.
Once I stamp papers, now faces.
Very sus. Back to max. Love to see it.
Safety disengaged. Can you improve
And
perfection?
boom.
Safety disengaged.
It's gonna be our attack for sure.
Progress.
We have 4, 5, 7 damage, and if this lives, 8 damage next round. If it goes for some like single combat concerted strike, we can mystic it if we have to. I don't know. Viktor leveled also, so I can play these guys for 0 mana. The ignition plus the Viktor spell. We try. It does save more damage, and if we make him use another card here, that's not bad. Yeah, and we keep the challenger up. Well, to be fair, I'm probably going to overplay it anyways. We'll play the ignition. I don't think the bank mana really matters. That is valuable if I roll like lifesteal or something. And low-key, I'm going to overplay this instead of the challenger.
Humankind must realize its full potential. Join the glorious evolution. The flashbacks will bow, great maker. Energy core upgraded.
Regen, the most useless of all of the keywords for Viktor. Hate getting regen on him. Destroyer, no surprises there. I might just like ambush the ballistic bot. Oh, maybe even Viktor now.
The enemies of day will fall.
He's letting me buff this to like enough damage. Pretty funny. Might as well clock in the decimate while we can. See what he has. He can't combat strike it. He could sharp sight. He hasn't had sharp sight up to this point. So that's game. Got him, boys. Easy dub. Alright, back. TFGP. Just lose the burn for now, get some early game units. Fallen Rider's cool. I wish we were attacking evens when you get that Fallen Rider on 2. We probably just have to open attack with that, but it's still like pretty hard for them to remove. Most hands they can't. And they never really have a re-attack unit to drop on 2. Ballistic bot, definitely looking like our late game, especially with the might. There's a group shot, parlay, sure.
Hello, new best friend.
Let's go and Warden. The fact that he got the chemist is crazy. We'll play this just to block.
So ordinary. Safety disengaged.
Get excited to trigger this is probably going to be something we have to do pretty soon.
Swings off a built one.
As expected, no fearsome units to stop this, and at 2 mana, double group shot. I don't know. Like this should just go. Make it rain just to get the proc on the GP. It's fine. His GP is pretty much gonna be leveled, which sucks, but can't do anything about it. Draven's pretty good here. Get these losses activated without like
Now where did I leave
losing
that?
value. Makes him keep the Corsair back also, unless he's like baiting something.
I got it. Hey.
Hey, buddy, what you doing?
I'll put the pressure of trading these down. We can kill a GP with the Mystic Shot too. If he blocks the Revenant, of course.
I never.
It's all small units, it looks like. He's getting a lot of good chip damage. I gotta give it to him.
Packed him good.
It's funny how we're like tied up and all this.
Got a surprise for him.
Finger on the trigger.
4 is not my jam. 6 sounds a little bit better. 6 I can live with.
Set him off.
This is Zonite. This is asking to get Twisted Fate, but then again, we're in a spot with no fearsome blockers. And Revenant plus Might plus Axe deals 8 damage, and then Get Excited kills. That's the kind of thing I think I want to look for. See, I mean, he literally has a 2-card hand. Sometimes they just don't have anything, you know? It's rare, but it's a thing. Thing that happens. And if he passes again, both of these just committing an attack right gets us the damage we need. So we don't need to pre-commit, which is great. Whenever you don't have to pre-commit something, it's way in your favor for sure.
Never lost a fair game.
There's the red card we were talking about. I had a feeling, but now it's like, what removal does he have on this point? And it's like 2-card hand. We're just gonna go for it. Let's go ahead, swing this. That looks great. Even this is fine, because I can just do it on the stack, right? I don't even have to pre-commit the Might. I didn't even need to do the Axe. Okay, cool. That's game. We have 8 mana, so we can just do Decimate plus Get Excited. He has 1 card left, even if it's double up. Well, I guess we do. Yeah, we just get fucked up by double up, huh?
It's a sharp tongue you've got there.
We could never do anything about it anyways, ever. Hope this goes well. And that's the game. Yeah. That's pretty great. You just try to run them out of their hands and resources. GP is scary, but he's honestly not like as threatening as you'd think. We have like a lot of big stat lines that makes the GP just trade into us, so that's like completely fine. Mikado on Sivir Akshan. Alright, let's see what's up. Honestly, keeping none of this, and we'll see what happens. This, I mean, requires some synergy to make happen. Archivist is more of a late game card anyways, and these are just spells that don't really do much. Say what's up to my boy. This is interesting, because I could even consider discarding a Draven.
Gently, gently.
I want to. The 1-mana banked is actually working out for us now,
Good from bad.
because when we play Victor, we do normally want to play his spell. We'll just block this, trade down his board a little bit. I don't mind that. Right now we're gonna get Draven down. See how he reacts to it. Hopefully we can get a swing in from it.
You're covered.
Kills our attack, so we're gonna Poro Cannon this and get the value off of the ignition. I guess I technically didn't have to do that there, but that's fine.
Nothing's lost. It's just waiting to be
Survival
found.
skills would be pretty hot right about now.
The flashbacks will bow, great
This is just block with Draven right here, I think. Could even consider blocking one of these other units. I don't really think. I feel like it's a must.
Safety disengaged. Energy core
Got some good keywords. Fearsome, not good. You can get better though. Fearsome pairs well with some other ones. It gets more difficult. We lose a might, that's fine. I don't really think it matters. That's a good one. Go with that.
and ready. System upgrade. Safety disengaged. Always forward.
It's crazy. I could technically level him here. It's absolutely nuts. Goes for a quicksand.
Hug it out.
Doesn't even
Nothing
trade.
personal.
This does trade it.
Hey.
With Shapestone. That's a funny line because yeah, I can just level him.
System upgrade.
Question is what I'm discarding right now. I think it's just gonna be Draven. Or actually the Decimate, maybe? This is a tough call. I'm losing Draven.
Safety disengaged. As
I think that damage is more valuable.
the machines rise.
The Victor levels, he lives the spot, got the quicksand out, we push 4 damage. Could be worse.
Not like me.
Prime and ready.
See what I can get from Archivist that I can maybe save this with. That is so much burn, Jesus. For 1 mana too, that's crazy. 4 mana Decimate, anybody? God, I want to go for 4 mana Decimate. It's crazy. It's so risky though. I could get excited.
Same calling card from our other case.
Depending on what unit he plays here, this will beat Sharp Sight, so I think that's fine.
Safety disengaged. Electroplating completed.
Danger pays.
He can block, he doesn't have Absolver mana. It's fine. he plays no units here, I'll probably just open attack, right? Cataclysm, sure.
Business as usual.
Unfortunate, but it's fine.
Blood or gold, I always get my share.
Getting to the point where mana is becoming a little bit of a concern.
Prime and ready.
3 plus 5 is 8 plus 1. Swing and see what happens.
Here's your cut.
That smells like interaction to me. Inserted, unfortunate. Still just might this and kill it. Push a little bit of damage.
So close.
Have him down to 11. We have 6 burn in hand. We have to find 5 damage. Which, I mean, we know a lot's actually coming in. Makes us find Viktor's interesting. I don't know if he's even good, but he is interesting, let me tell you.
Taking it back.
The future is steel and science.
It's a Sivir, and he tapped below
No materials.
that one spell again.
Movements.
Swipe it off.
Absolver. These can just block. Don't mind at all. I don't think I want to take the unnecessary damage. And we're not going to risk Viktor, right? Go ahead and play the Decimate while we have like a kind of flexible turn. It is crazy how close we are. It is insane. We should draw what we need to survive.
Took care of the guards, boss. Good.
No rally one time. If he has no rally, we might win this. We go next. And we got the get excited. So now it just depends on if he has deny. But if not, that's a dub right there. Very tricky game. So much to play around. Sure. Nice, nice, nice. Cute, cute, cute. Cute, cute, cute. Love all the tricks. Poor guy. Poor guy. Nice, man. GG. That's how we do it, boys.
Ah, yes. Perfection.
Some good games.